Fala galera, aqui é o LuKinha, tô trazendo aqui o início do jogo pra vocês. Three First Tree é um jogo aqui exclusivo do Nintendo Switch. Vamos lá conhecer um pouco desse jogo, hein? Aperte A para começar. Vamos dar uma olhadinha aqui em opções. Sensibilidade, legendas. Vamos deixar legendas aqui. Eu não sei como é que tá, se vai ter legendas em português. Vamos deixar, né? Vamos... Novo jogo. Vamos lá, galera. Primeira vez que eu tô tendo contato com esse game, junto com vocês aqui no canal. Galera, trilha sonora impecável, né? A gente controla aqui.
I thought I heard you get up.
Yeah, I'm awake. Sorry, I just can't sleep.
Are you thinking about him?
Yeah, a bit. You should get back to sleep, my love. I'm fine.
No, it's okay. What else is on your mind?
I don't know, it seems weird, but I had one of the most vivid dreams of my life. I saw a fox on a snowy mountain, just looking confused and worried. Those eyes, I can't get those eyes out of my head. She was running in the windy snow, looking for something.
Do you think it has to do with you and what's been going on?
I don't know. It was just a dream, Rachel. They're not meant to make sense. A lot's happened the past couple days, that's all.
Well, if you're not going to sleep anyway, you should tell me. I want to hear.
All right.
Galera, interessante. Ainda bem que eu coloquei a legenda, né? Ainda bem, porque se eu não tivesse colocado, eu pelo menos não ia entender, que eu não tenho inglês muito bom. Na verdade, eu não tenho inglês bom é nada. O negócio é o português mesmo. Aqui a gente tá controlando a raposa. Cara, tá muito bonita a paisagem. Trilha sonora aqui no início, é espetacular. Tá no estilo do jogo Rime. Aquele joguinho lá daquele menino. Eu tenho até o gameplay aqui no canal. Vou deixar aí no link do card pra vocês, tá? Vamos dar uma olhadinha no que a gente tem que fazer aqui. Aqui a gente consegue correr, pular. Bacana, vamos lá. Olha que lindo que tá aquele sol ali batendo no meio das árvores. Top, viu? O vento aqui também parece estar muito forte, né? Consegue ouvir bem nítido aí. Galera, põe um foninho de ouvido. Com foninho de ouvido a gente consegue ouvir bem melhor cada detalhe de todos os jogos aqui no canal. É muito melhor com fone de ouvido. Vamos continuar aqui. Você que não se inscreveu no canal, já aproveita para se inscrever. Ativar o sininho para receber todas as notificações. Ajuda demais o canal a crescer. Cara, parece que a gente tem alguma raposa aqui morta.
She couldn't stay, though. She had to find her other 2 children. So she took that path. She followed it towards something ancient. Something with answers.
Começou a chover, hein, galera?
The fox looked high and low, searching for any sign of her cubs.
Parece que a raposa tá procurando seus filhotes, né? A gente deve procurar os filhotes.
It was as if each one had a story to tell, all their
Pontos de luz mostram o caminho.
Land was trying to tell
Alguma
my story
árvore
too.
antiga.
I felt like I was right behind her the whole time.
Olha aqui, o que é isso aqui? Coelhos? Coelhinho. Mais pontos de luz aqui, ó. Ah, parece ter uma fenda ali na frente de luz, né? Interessante que aqui tá com sol e chuva. Tem algumas nuvens fechadas. Será que a gente tem que cavar aqui?
Do you remember what my dad did for a living?
Wasn't he like a lumberjack?
That's one way of putting it. If wood was a canvas, then a carving knife was his paintbrush. Even after working a 50-hour week, even after his hands were more splinters than skin, he would bring home the nicest piece of Alaskan weeping cedar and make me toys. That wooden train was the first toy I can remember, and I loved it. I just knew from a young age I was going to be a lumberjack, like my father.
Vamos ver se dá pra vir pra cá. Vamos ver o menu aqui de opções. E a gente tem só legenda mesmo. Mais pontos de luz aqui, hein? Carregando. A gente já volta num cenário totalmente diferente, né? Peso amarelo. Vamos lá. Tá muito top, tá muito lindo isso aqui. Opa, vamos ver o que tem
My
aqui.
teenage years were full of sketching, angst, and trouble.
Lembranças, né?
Wasn't popular or unpopular. maybe just forgettable. I guess that gave me a sense of freedom, so I hung out with crazy kids, doing crazy things, even though I mostly just watched the chaos ensue. We did it all, put fireworks in mailboxes, hide roadkill in people's garages, break windows of the barber shop in Anchorage. My dad was furious, but he was so busy working he couldn't do much to stop me from going out.
I think being an adult means there's no one to stop you making hard decisions. He had to make a living, and he couldn't be in two places at once.
Yeah, I realize that now. But at the time, I was sure he was more interested in growing his business than what was going on with me.
Será que dá pra pular ali? Vamos ver. E deu não. Mas eu acho que a gente não precisa pegar aquele pontinho lá não. Vamos seguir aqui pra ver se ele libera o próximo. Mais lembranças, né?
And my friends were over, saying how bored they were and how they had come all the way out to my house for nothing. One of them mentioned how that old, ugly beyond belief truck was still in the garage and how we should take it for a spin. I was only 15, so I kind of fought it for a while.
Carro de polícia ali.
The next thing I knew, we were careening around the mountain path, rocks spitting onto the sides of the cliff, while my dad's cringeworthy bluegrass blared out the speakers. I drove while my friends were in the back of that yellow and purple truck, throwing beer bottles and trash at anything remotely interesting. Felt like I was soaring in the air with borrowed wings. But all good things have endings. A cop outside of Eagle River pulled us over after he saw us in a bottle rocket into someone's yard. What followed was a long night of talking to disappointed adults and feeling smaller than ever.
Opa, vamos ver aqui. Eu acho que a gente precisa da borboleta ali, hein? Aí, ó. Agora a gente tá dando pulo duplo. Aí, ó. Será que dá pra pular daqui? Olha. Acho que tem que pular lá em cima daquele lá, ó. Cachoeira aí, hein, galera. Vou entrar aqui dentro, hein? Nada não. Vamos pegar ali pra gente tentar ir lá em cima, lá onde tem um... Parece ter uma espécie de caminhão. Ainda ou não? Opa, deu uma luz aqui. Acho que tem mais uma lembrança ali, ó.
After he drove me home from the police station, I blew up at him, saying how I never wanted to be like him, how I was gonna be someone and leave that hick icebox for good. He just looked forward at the road with tired eyes. I took out that bluegrass tape from the cassette deck and chucked it out the window. In my sage teenage wisdom,
pular ali, mas não deu
that
não.
proved the ultimate point. But my dad had a different idea. He slammed the brakes, slowly bowed his head while gripping the steering wheel, and finally looked at me. All he said, like it was a polite request, was, "Make this right." I sat there in silence, fuming, but I eventually got out and combed every square inch of the woods, muttering profanity after profanity. I found it 30 minutes later, near a small waterfall off the road. I went back to the truck, put the wet tape back in, and sure enough it worked. We didn't speak another word to each other the rest of the night.
Wow, I knew you were a crazy teenager, but...
It's hard to believe, isn't it? It surprises me too. It's like I didn't really know who that kid was back then.
Aqui, ó.
I bet my dad thought the same thing over and over. It's almost like he was saying, make this right to himself,
Nada.
more than to me.
Galera, é um jogo que não tem muita ação. É um jogo muito tranquilo, sossegado. Uma ótima trilha sonora. Aqui a gente precisa de três grupos de borboletas. Então, no caso, a gente precisa daquelas 3 lá. Agora sim eu entendi. A raposinha, ela não corre muito rápido. Isso aqui é o máximo que ela... Se eu parar aqui, olha lá, ela para de correr. Vamos correr pra cá. Ó, aqui a gente tem uma. Na verdade, a gente tem que pegar essa aqui para pegar aquela lá, depois vir pegar de novo. E a gente vai precisar de usar essa aqui, ó. E aqui... Ó, peguei. Agora eu não posso dar aquele pulão não, que senão ela sai. Eu vou pegar a outra aqui. Esse é o problema, eu não posso pular. Deixa eu ver aqui. Ah, por aqui, ó. Aí, ó. Aí, vamos lá. Vamos levar a galera toda pra lá.
My friends would laugh about that night and talk about how crazy it was. And I laughed along, pretending it didn't bother me. But it did. I imagined my friends growing old in the bush, unable to find that thrill in those godforsaken ice fields. It's like those mountains were a literal wall, keeping me from leaving, where all I would have to look forward to are lumber yards and evening beers. I had to climb up there. That was my only goal for a long time.
Vamos pular aqui.
If there was some way I could take my love of drawing and turn it into
Mais
a way of escape,
lembranças aí.
nothing would make me happier. I wanted to create instead of tearing trees down. I wanted to move to the lower 48, not because I hated it there in Alaska, but I hated the idea of it. It's like all of that spite inside me had created this monster which followed me around my whole teenage years. I put so much energy into doing what others didn't expect of me. Why did I do that?
There's one fact you're forgetting, though. If you didn't have that fire in you, we probably would have never met.
You're absolutely right. Maybe the destination is all that matters in the end. Then why am I awake? Why am I seeing this fox go on her journey? And why can't I stop thinking about my dad?
É bastante lembranças, né? Que ele vai falando, vai encontrando. Ó, tá começando a escurecer de novo. Vamos ver o que vai acontecer agora. No carregamento a gente consegue ver as patinhas aí da raposinha. Já vem um outro cenário, né, galera? Um outro cenário. Vamos dar uma olhadinha aqui nesse cenário aqui pra gente poder finalizar o início do game. Cara, tá muito top o cenário, né? A gente tá numa espécie de uma floresta. Tô vendo alguma luz ali, olha lá. Dá pra ver uma luz bem distante. O jogo Rime que tem aí no canal, ele é numa pegada mais desvendar enigma. Ele é uma pegadinha um pouco melhor. Esse aqui é mais suave, mais tranquilo. A gente fica obtendo lembranças aí do narrador.
At the times when I detested him the most, he kept reaching out. For a year straight, he asked me every week when we were going camping. I thought he was just dense. Eventually, to shut him up, I agreed. We carried out the worn lawn chairs from the garage and set up a cinder block campfire at the site we'd always used behind the house. We walked down the mountain path.
Conseguimos marcar aqui, né?
Couple months of the year.
Parece que são 3.
Those 3 obsidian rocks shimmered alongside the shore, almost like sparklers pressed against a dark window. I'll never forget that wet stone on my feet. or how those massive mountains looked even bigger in the lake's reflection. I felt small, but grateful. As the sun set, my dad found something I hadn't seen for a long time. The tree where I'd made my first carving when I was 6. I hadn't even carved it. My dad had helped me, but I still called it my tree. Something about seeing my name there made me open up, and we talked about everything that night in that old camouflage tent. I told him how much I love sketching.
Bom, ele não fala não, né? Ele conta uma história, texto.
In Seattle. I told him how I didn't get along with my friends much anymore, but that I didn't mind being alone.
Se eu for parar para entender e ler isso aí, a gente não vai conseguir dar andamento. Então, o intuito aqui é só mostrar um pouco do game para vocês.
He would have left me carved logs with novels on them in front of my room every morning.
Quem quiser ir lendo acompanhando pode
I don't know why it took me that long to
acompanhar
realize
as legendas.
but it was then I knew how much he had sacrificed for me. On our property, there were old abandoned pieces of a shed and car long left unused. I used to ask him all the time who those people were that left all this junk, and I'm sure he got so tired of hearing it that he made up some elaborate
Tá muito bonito isso aqui, né?
ate them and haunted the woods afterwards. What's funny
Olha.
is I think it made those people seem more real. Growing up thinking they were still hanging out, like they couldn't.
Galera, é isso aí, a gente vai ficar por aqui, só pra gente conhecer um pouco desse game aí. Ele é exclusivo do Nintendo Switch, tá? Você que não se inscreveu no canal, aproveita para se inscrever, ativar o sininho para receber todas as notificações, tá bom? Muito obrigado, valeu!